Happy wine day. Okay, it's Friday. Happy Friday. I'm just having a little tiny drink of wine because I'm celebrating such a massive week, and it inspired me. I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit here and I want to share some stuff with you that's really cool. And also, I figured it was definitely happy hour East Coast, and I knew all my sisters over there were sitting down and having a glass. I thought, you know, I would virtually join you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, so what this video is about, I just wanted to share some insights into how we create what we're creating, and share a little bit more about what I'm going to be giving you from my website. I've been sort of sitting on the fence with this for a little while, and today I decided, I actually sat back and asked myself, what was the most powerful process that I learnt that helped me have the biggest shifts in the least amount of time? And I remembered what it was. And so I decided that, you know what, I'm giving that away. I'm just going to give that away because I want to help people, and I know that this process is going to help a lot of people. But for you to understand it, there's a few things that I just wanted to discuss around the whole manifesting thing. And I think a lot of people assume and make the assumption that manifesting, it's about thinking about what you want and writing it out heaps of times and, you know, being really uber focused on it. But what manifesting actually really is aligning yourself. Okay, so everything is energy. We are energy. Things are energy. And it might be a bit out of the box, but we all have a frequency. So in order to manifest the things we want, all we have to do is get ourselves to a vibrational equivalent match. Simple in theory. So what kinds of things do we do to move ourselves to become a vibrational match to the things that we want? So if you can imagine, there's a couple that I really love, Esther and Jerry Hicks. Jerry has passed away. Esther works with a spirit called Abraham. That is even more out there. But if you want to hear some cool stuff, they've got a really awesome YouTube channel. So she actually used an example of, if you had a radio set to say 97.3 and you were at a frequency of 84.5, you actually couldn't get that radio signal to come down to you. You've got to go up to it and meet it there, and that's the point of attraction. So the biggest thing that holds people back from getting what they want is the internal emotion of things. And Dan and I actually had a really great conversation about this over the last few days, because he's very much a push, you know, I'm going to fight it out or get what I want. And I said to him, what if you just released it and went with it? And anyway, I thought it fell on deaf ears, but he said to me today, well, I listened to what you said, and he said, and I've been doing it for the last 2 days, and he said, things have just gotten easier. I'm like, I know, right? Incredible. We don't we're programmed to feel that we need to have this fight and struggle to get what we want, and we really, really don't. So anyway, this process that I'm giving you away from the Manifesting with Kat website, you know, this elusive website that I keep talking about that still hasn't happened, because, you know, I've got to tell you why actually though, because I am very, very conscious of the energy that I'm putting into the products and the creation of the website. As everything is energy, you will feel whatever it is that I'm putting into that at the time. So I have always just made sure that I'm in a really good space when I'm creating, and I haven't worked on it if I haven't felt like the vibe is right. And I know that's hippie. That's how it is, and that's how I've been working with it. And, you know, it's always been divine and perfect. So that's how I roll. Anyway, so this process that I'm going to give you, I used a few years ago when I first separated with Daniel. I sold all of my worldly possessions and moved in with this guy. Wasn't the smartest move at the time, but I reasoned with myself that I had been the Uber planner for most of my life, and that hadn't worked out so well. So I decided to throw everything I thought, so far as planning and being structured and how I was, out the window to just see what happened. Anyway, it didn't end all that well, but I'm glad I did it. I am glad I went through that process, because it was a massive learning curve. But what actually happened was I found myself thrown out onto the street in the middle of the night with my daughter and my dog, not knowing what I was going to do. I was stressing out. Anyway, how it turned out, this is the cool part of the story. So I was driving to my new house, and this is how that worked. I went to look at a house that I thought I was going to move into, and turns out it was going to be sold 6 weeks. It was going to be put on the market 6 weeks later, and I didn't want to have to move in 6 months, which it turned out I did anyway. But so anyway, the real estate agent said to me, "Well, the house across the road's available. Do you want to go have a look?" And I'd already thought I'd seen it and the price, and I just said to her, "Well, I think it's a bit out of my price range." And you know what? She just said to me, "You know what? You can have it for $350 a week," which at that time was my top price. And I was just blown away because she just dropped it by about $60 or something like that per week, straight off the bat. And I went, wow, okay, yeah, sure, like take me to have a look. And I'd actually written a list of what I wanted my house to look like, my next house. And I'm not kidding you, this house that I moved into had every single thing on that list, like massive corner spa, like dishwasher. I mean, we're just, lots of room, close to the beach. So that was really cool. And I've done this now with houses a few times. This one had been sitting empty for the same amount of time that I was looking for a house, and they just dropped it by, I think, about $80 a week the day before I come and looked at it. There was lots of crazy stuff around this house anyway. So that kind of stuff happens for me all the time. But what had actually happened leading up to the whole having to move house process is I've been working with a business coach who taught me the Power Words process, which is what I'm going to be gifting you. And what we couldn't work out was, even though consciously I was so aware of what was going on, I had this automatic pattern and behavior running, which wasn't a conscious process, it was a subconscious process. And so what I had to do was rewire what was coming up from the subconscious and blocking me. So she taught me this process, and then I took the process and kind of reinvented it a little bit and changed it so that it would be more powerful. And that's what I'm going to be giving you. So the way it works, if you don't know how patterns and habits and behaviors are formed, I've got a video titled Getting Sucked into the Misery Vortex. And the misery vortex was this concept I come up with a few years ago. So what we tend to do is we have stories that we run. And it might be about, who we feel we are as a person, or something that's happened in our lives. And it could be a breakup, it could be not getting enough of this and not getting enough of that. And we repeat these stories over and over and over and over and over again. We might tell friends, sisters, we say it to ourselves, wherever we can talk about it. Like, this is a habit that a lot of people have. They just keep talking about how bad shit is. And then what happens is we completely rewire our brain because we're repeating. And so how our brain works is, if you can imagine like a whole heap of superneural highways, like all intertwined like rope, right? Like just little bits of rope all running through your head. It's like every time you repeat something, it's like adding a string to this rope, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger until it forms a habit. And then to get out of that habit, it takes like a massive shift to sever it. So this 30-day process that I'll be giving you is going to help you rewire and sever the stuff that you don't want. Anyway, and there's more work to be done, because obviously if we want to raise our vibration, we need to clear some of those things that are holding us back. But this process will help you actually identify what some of them are, and probably even help you eliminate quite a few of them, so that's just done and taken care of. And then maybe there's just a few more things, but the ultimate goal is to help elevate your vibration so that you can get into alignment with the things that you want. Does that sound pretty cool? It's pretty cool. So I've used this process. So now the reason I decided to give you that process, and the biggest shifts that I said I had. So you might be thinking, well, like I did the process for 30 days before I had to go find this house. Actually, it might have been a bit longer, maybe more like 6 weeks, which obviously I've definitely contributed to me needing to go find the house in the first place. I've been telling the universe I wanted it, and I'd been repeating this process that I'd done. So the universe went, here you go, have it. But it turns out like it happened in a really bad way. Like it was a terrible ending to that relationship. Anyway, moving right along, I was moving into the house the day that I heard my track come on. And it said, you are living in a house you love, you live close to the beach, you're a published author. And I was like, oh my God. I was actually just listening to a music track, and it skipped just like magic and went to this track. And in that moment, I realized I'd created it all. I had created that because of what I was doing in here. And if that hadn't have happened, I probably would have completely taken it for granted and glossed over it. But apparently it turns out the universe wanted me to hear that and recognize it, because it was massive. And so then I realized that it was actually by rewiring my brain that I'd managed to attract these things. It wasn't through wishing, hoping, writing, over and over and over again. It was actually through the process of rewiring my brain, which is what I'm going to share with you. Now, you might go, well, Kat, if you got thrown out in the street after doing this for 30 days, don't know if we necessarily want to do this. But you know what? It led to my first $10,000 month. I got published in 3 books, like all around the same time. What other? Lots of cool stuff happened. Yeah, published in 3 books, had my first 5-figure month. I don't know, lots of amazing stuff. Haven't got the house I wanted. So you know what? I know it works. And I'm like, if I can give one thing to people that I know is going to work, that's it. Anyway, I'm over and out. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.